In fact, sound, all the sound is nothing else but a phenomenon of vibrations in the air, you know, so it's something very physical in its nature. It's very different in this way from all the other art forms, you know. For instance, writing is kind of meta, you know, very intellectual approach to things. Painting, you have to look at the painting, or you have to look at the movie to actually perceive it. You know, sound is everywhere, yeah, and it's something very physical in itself. Yeah, and you know, sound is the only also medium, yeah, that we use in the arts that can, you know, actually kill you. I mean, in itself. You know, people say books can also kill, but it's kind of also, you know, meta approach, because, you know, some ideas, you know, can be dangerous, etc., etc. But sound has been used, in fact, in the history of our world, like especially during the First World War in Europe. French army, you know, used like sonic cannons, yeah, and it's used by police today, you know, like to disperse crowds, etc., etc. I mean, sound is something very physical. No, we are not interested. I mean, I'm not interested to kill people at all. You know, I don't want to do it. But I'm very fascinated by this aspect of sound, and the fact that sound is something that can really, you know, influence all your body. Yeah, it's not only like a book, or book will influence your brain mainly. You know, sort of thinking processes and things like this. But sound, you know, we do not hear sound only with our ears. We hear sound with all our body, yeah? And it can be something very kind of like a physical experience, you know, sort of like a very ritualistic experience. Yeah, and in fact, this kind of music is not even music, you know, anymore. It's, you know, we are speaking about it as noise music, but maybe a good definition of it is it's kind of like a voodoo of music, you know, because you know, if you think about the whole Western civilization, I mean, especially of course Europe is a cradle of the whole Western civilization, and how the music developed, it was all the whole process of like last 1,000 years was about cleaning it up, you know. I mean, instruments 500 years ago during Baroque period, you know, they were still very dirty. You know, the construction of like oboe, flute, you know, they had a lot of dirt in it, in the sound, and then our civilization just tried to, you know, clean it up to bring it to the sort of cleanness. I mean, opera singing is basically only pure tones. It's like sine waves, you know, and so, you know, Western civilization threw out all the trash and tried to make everything very clean. And then, like maybe some other cultures, like for instance Japanese, they took all this trash, you know, and they made this kind of thing out of it, you know. So you know, maybe good way to approach it is kind of like thinking about it like you know, imagine some 100 years ago, missionaries from Portugal or Spain or whatever went to Africa, and they introduced Jesus, yeah, Christianism. You know, they brought cross, Jesus, Bible, and then African people put some chicken blood on it, you know, and you know, made things like candomblé. You know, I mean, do you think that candomblé is still Christian religion? So, you know, in the same time, you know, I think noise is as much music as candomblé is Christianism, you know. It's kind of, yeah. And it's got absolutely no message. It's totally open. There is no explanation, you know. Especially people in Japan or Asia, you know. I work a lot with people there, and I actually like it very much because they are very anti-intellectual, you know. When I work with people in Europe, you know, Europe is a very old continent, and people like to think, you know, and put always theories to the stuff. And in Japan, like, you know, if I work with people like this, like Shunshiro Okada, or I work with Merzba or something, we make many records and concerts, but we never speak about what we are doing, because there's no reason for it. I have actually a very anti-intellectual approach to what I'm doing, you know. It's like I'm working now with music professionally for like nearly 30 years, 25 years, and you know, in fact, the main process of me, my development as an artist, is like going from control to absolute non-control. You know, when I was young, I studied composition. I studied, you know, all the classical techniques, counterpoint, harmony, and then I started writing pieces for like orchestras, ensembles, and when I started my career as a musician composer, you know, I felt it was very important to be able to answer questions, you know, if people ask me, why are you doing this, or, you know, what this piece is about, you know, can you explain the idea, how did you, you know, put it together, compose, and yeah, I felt like kind of obliged to be able to answer it, you know, and the more and more I work with music, the less and less I feel it's like, you know, today it's absolutely okay for me to say, I don't know, man, I did it, you know, and I don't even remember how. So, you know, in fact, yeah, it's kind of paradoxical situation for me, because I do a lot of presentations like this, kind of workshops, you know, but in the same time, I think that, you know, everything I say, and, you know, everything we will say here is kind of bullshit, you know, it doesn't matter at all. Because words mean you know, nothing to me. It is actually impossible to speak about music, you know, because it's so abstract, you know, and I know from my own, you know, experience that you perceive, you know, music in a very different ways, in a very different, you know, situations. You know, for instance, you know, sometimes I get some CD, you know, I get lots of CDs from friends because I travel a lot and shit, and, you know, I can put it on and maybe I like it, yeah. I think, oh, it's great, you know. Then, you know, maybe 3 days after I put it on, I think it's shit, you know. And then, you know, maybe 1 week after I put it on, I think it's good too, you know. I mean, how can you objectively say that something is good or bad? It's impossible. If I make a concert and there is maybe 100 people in this concert, there is like 100 different concerts, because each person hears something totally different, you know? Each person in this, on this planet, in this universe, is absolutely unique and, you know, perceives things in a different way. If I release a record and the record is pressed in, say, 1,000 copies, and 1,000 copies are sold, it's like 1,000 different records, you know? And I actually like this aspect of music very much, that, you know, it exists in some sort of total free universe, you know, where yeah, everybody perceives it in its own way, you know, his own, her own way, yeah. So, you know, I for instance, never read anything about music anymore. I never read reviews from the concerts or records. I absolutely do not care about opinions of some other people, you know, because each review or critic is just opinion, you know. And in fact, opinions, you know, I can quote, do you know Clint Eastwood? You know? Yeah, Dirty Harry? Yeah. So, you know, there's a very good quote from this film, and he says, like, yeah, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, you know. Everyone has an asshole, and everyone has an opinion, and, you know, I mean, I don't care. Yeah. You know, the greatest aspect of the computer is the fact that, you know, once you enter some data into computer doesn't understand whether it's sound or whether it's picture, or whether it's QuickTime movie, whether it's text file or whatever. For computer, everything is just a string of numbers, you know, it's just bits, yeah, information, yeah. So, you know, there is software available, I mean, actually for free even. There is software from Macintosh computer, it's called SoundHack, yeah. It's made by a guy in United States. And in this software, you can basically open any file on your computer and make computer think that this is a sound file. So, you know, all the sounds in this piece are made from just data, you know, from some emails, from some text, you know, some Adobe Acrobat files, pictures, blah, 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 and, you know, I bring them into a SoundHack and I turn them into audio. And then once it's turned in the audio in the SoundHack, you can also, you know, manipulate it a lot. You can change like sampling frequency of the sound. You can change beats. It can be 8 beats or 16, even 4, 32, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if I mean, if any of you works with doing music with computers, but yeah, it's very easy. Like, for instance, you know, I can make a piece out of email I get from you, you know. But then, of course, you know, email is a very short data. It's very, you know, just few lines, and then if I open it in the SoundHack as open any, I change header to make computer think that this sound file is going to be like very, you know, maybe 0.000001 second, yeah, sound file. But it opens is always, you know, on the sampling frequency like a CD, which is 44.100, you know, frequencies. But then, you know, if I will go down and make sampling frequency, say only 5,000, you know, of course makes file much longer, you know. Well, you know. Anyways, yeah, I work with this, with the things like, yeah, you know, I bring some data into SoundHack and then manipulate it there, and then, you know, the next step is there is other software which probably all of you know is called Photoshop. Yeah, like everybody works with some things. Yeah, and in Photoshop there is also a function. You can open anything as a raw data. So then I bring my sound files into a Photoshop as a raw data and then work on them with graphic filters, which, of course, I have absolutely no idea what it's going to do to the sound, Always when I work with some other people, I don't ask them questions and I don't judge them, Actually, my girlfriend is also a video artist and we have done a lot of work together, but we never really discussed it. And this guy is a friend of mine and I sent him this file, and he said, yeah, I want to make video for it. I said, do it, and then I kind of like it, but I'm not interested in how he did it. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. What I wanted to make as a point in this is this process of working with the sound, where I actually work without control. I just bring data into SoundHug, here some things, some I like, I keep, some I don't like, I trash, or I try to do something to them, and then I bring them to Photoshop, and then I, of course, absolutely have no idea what I'm doing. I just change some, resolution, filters, contrast, and put some, graphic filters on it, and then I bring it back to SoundHug and I hear it, and it's like files are always changed, sometimes interesting, sometimes not, but it's not really like, I actually do it without knowing what I'm doing, And I actually like this approach because it's very playful, and it's like people have certain imagination that artists, they have some sort of inspiration always. Yeah, you cannot do anything without inspiration, but it's not true. It's I very often just wake up and I just drink some coffee, smoke some cigarettes, and I start playing, with stuff, without any idea. I don't have fucking idea what I'm doing, and then, I end up creating something, without having an idea how I did it, yeah, this is my approach,